Asparagus is one of the first things you can harvest from your garden in the springtime. But if you don't have your own asparagus bed, you can go searching for wild asparagus. Experienced asparagus hunters start their search in roadside ditches and along fence rows. And when they find what they're looking for, the reward is a taste like no other. When it's harvested early in the spring, at its most tender, asparagus is a versatile veggie in many dishes. I'm Charity Nebbe. On this episode of Iowa Ingredient, we'll see how asparagus stands out as a tasty vegetable in the fields of Bridgewater Farm in southwest Iowa. Then Iowa chef Joshua Frederick prepares mouth-watering asparagus dishes in our studio kitchen. All that and more coming up next on Iowa Ingredient.
Funding for Iowa Ingredient is provided by the W.T. and Edna M. Dahl Trust, Chef Lisa Laval of Trellis Cafe and the River Center, and Chef Michael Laval of the Des Moines Embassy Club. For more than 100 years, the Des Moines Embassy Club has provided a place to dine, celebrate, and do business, located in downtown Des Moines and in West Des Moines. And Friends, the Iowa PBS Foundation.
Making this brown vegetable stock is actually seaweed.
Olive oil, honey, a little bit of apple cider vinegar, and lemon juice.
It is. These are really, really good. Salud.
Salud.
Asparagus has been around for a long time. Ancient Egyptian queen Nefertiti once declared it to be the food of the gods, and people still feel pretty passionate about asparagus. Most of the asparagus sold in the United States is grown in California, Washington, or Michigan, but we grow delicious asparagus here in Iowa. And a healthy plant can produce for 15 to 20 years. So those wild asparagus hunters return to their secret spot year after year, and farmers and gardeners have something relatively effortless and delicious to look forward to every spring. Spring in Iowa. The days are a little bit longer, the weather is a little bit warmer, and growers begin planting all of their garden favorites. During this magical time of year, one of the first foods to welcome you to spring is none other than asparagus. If you love asparagus and want to grow your own, there is no time to waste. Establishing an asparagus bed takes a few years, and there are some guidelines you will absolutely want to follow so your bed can reach its maximum potential. Fortunately, as an agricultural state, Iowa is packed with growers and food experts who know the best practices for growing this delicious ingredient. Smack dab in between Council Bluffs and Des Moines sits Bridgewater Farms. Father and son Dale and Tyler Rash plant just about anything that can grow in Iowa.
What we're trying to do is we're trying to grow healthy food. It's all certified organic. Like everybody says, it's pretty much from asparagus to zucchini, and it's about everything in between.
Dale and Tyler would argue that they are not asparagus experts, but seeing what they can do using organic farming practices, it becomes clear that they know a thing or two about planting, maintaining, and harvesting this unique vegetable.
Nice and juicy.
We can give you some tips, but we're still learning a lot on the asparagus too.
Well, I'd say it varies pretty much on the weather. So when it starts to heat up into the 50s and 60s early in the spring, you have those nice soft rains, then it'll really start to pop through. But if you get any temperatures below freezing, then that's when it just becomes flimsy and floppy, so it's no good at that point.
Been too cold for it, so it's just slow coming up.
Unlike its wild cousin, most domesticated varieties of asparagus don't compete well with grass and weeds. Maintenance of your bed is key.
The big thing is not get carried away and plant too much to start with. But the key to it is to try and keep the weeds out of it. Well, the ideal height is probably about 6 to 8 inches tall. And the thing is, if some of them are a little bit taller than that, you can snap off a little bit so you can keep them all uniform when you go to bunch them or to sell it.
It's kind of flimsy towards the top, and as you go down, there's kind of a sweet spot. If you go too low, it won't break, it'll just bend. If you go right in the middle, then there's just a little spot where it just snaps right off.
If it gets smaller than a pencil, they usually say that's when you need to just let it go. Then it needs to build its root system up for the next year. Because if you don't allow it to do that, it won't have anything to keep it going.
By late summer, asparagus looks nothing like its spring self. Once you let the stalks grow and the spears unravel, the plant develops foliage and even berries that birds will eat. Of course, you can find asparagus year-round in most grocery stores, but it's that small 2-month window when asparagus is at its peak here in the state.
There's a huge difference. You really get the natural taste, and of course it's picked fresh, so everyone really loves that. I don't think I've ever met anyone who doesn't like asparagus. It's pretty much relatively a fan favorite.
My name is Joshua, and I became a chef because the zigzagging, unpredictable path of life brought me to be one. I just like looking at an ingredient and being like, okay, what is gonna just elevate this already fantastic ingredient just a little bit? I'm not trying to hide its flavors. I'm not trying to make it something that it's not. I'm just trying to help lift it up just a little bit more. And asparagus is one of my favorite ingredients. So, especially in Iowa. Like, this is the best asparagus I've ever had anywhere in the world is here. I mean, there's some really good stuff in Italy too, but Iowa asparagus is actually something very special. When we decided to do this, we knew like the success rate percentage was probably like 10 to 15%. Like we knew this would probably not work, but we decided like we're gonna do something that we believe in and that we think is really cool, and we're just gonna do it. And we knew what we wanted to do and what we wanted to put forth, and that was create an atmosphere that was super fun and enjoyable, where people could come in here, drink good beer, good wine, local beer, eat local food that's done in kind of a rustic, old-timey fashion with a little bit of elevation to it, and just have a good time. And so that's what we wanted to do, and I think we've done that. And I think anytime that you go forward in life and put all the like, this is too risky, I can't do this, like just take that leap. Like you might fail, but you know your character only gets built by failure. And I've failed at plenty of things, and you never know, this place could fail tomorrow too, but life goes on. And I think when something is built out of that fearless, kind of relentless passion, that it's special, and I think that just reverberates through the place.
And now we're here in the kitchen with Chef Joshua. We're going to cook with asparagus. What are we going to make first?
Well, we are going to do a extremely simple preparation here. Simple for me is the name of the game. I like to really just highlight the ingredient and let that kind of speak for itself. So we're just going to do shaved asparagus, mizuna. I've made a honey Dijon mustard vinaigrette here, and I've charred off some almonds here. So we're just going to crush those up in the mortar and pestle, get those all in a bowl, toss them up, shave a little parm into it. Boom, and that's what we're gonna do.
Does it have a name?
No, I like to just name things what they are. So I would call it a Mizuna and shaved asparagus salad is what we're gonna go with here, if that's
All right,
cool.
well, let's get started.
Okay, so first things first, main ingredient, asparagus. So this is simple. We're just gonna kind of cut off the outer edge here just to make sure we're into the nice tender portion of the spear. We can just get rid of these guys. Now, I always like to preserve the tops because they're so beautiful. So we're just gonna kind of cut those off. Maybe just kind of go where you start to see this little section start to disappear. I'm sure there's a technical name for it, but I'm not quite sure what it is. Start to shave these guys.
All right, your mandolin.
Yep. I love raw asparagus.
I love raw asparagus too.
To me, one of the worst and most offensive things you can do for asparagus is to overcook it. And
asparagus mush is not nearly as delicious.
Not at all. It's actually quite unappealing.
Well, I think that's just one of the wonderful flavors of spring is when you pick your own asparagus out of the garden and eat it while you're harvesting.
Absolutely. I mean, after, the Midwest winters, like that first sign of spring coming up and being able to eat something from the garden is fantastic. All right, so that's gonna be plenty for what we're about to do here. So let's set that aside. And we don't need this now. Now these guys, I'm just gonna half them there. That one doesn't even need to be halved, it's so thin. Let's crush some almonds, shall we?
Right. And these have been toasted, but that's maybe not quite extreme enough. They're a little dark, so almost charred.
I would call them charred almonds.
All right.
Yep. I shy away from that term just because it kind of freaks people out, but I really like them really dark. I like to get that kind of ashy note in them. I think the bitterness of it, especially if you're using something like a honey vinaigrette with the sweetness, really kind of balance each other out. So these started off as raw almonds. I always buy organic raw, and then I just toast them to the density that I want to, or the degree that I want to, and salt them as well.
So toast to taste.
Toast to taste for sure. I think that's probably going to be plenty for the application we're going for here.
All right, time to start bringing stuff together?
Let's do it.
All right.
All right, so it's a little Mizuna here, which is an Asian green, fairly similar to arugula. You don't see it a lot in supermarkets. I happen to love it. It's going to be a little bit less black peppery and spicy than arugula is, a little bit more milder, but absolutely delicious. And if you plant it, you can plant it outside when it's still fairly cold out. So conceivably this whole thing will work together if you're doing it in the garden.
Okay,
so
perfect.
That's another element of it here. So I'd say let's do like a 50-50 mix here and check this guy out, see how we're feeling about it. So let's do that. Gonna slam these almonds in here. Gonna shave in a little aged Parmesan cheese here. Because what's not better with some cheese in it, About that. A little Malden sea salt, like a little flaky salt. We might have to adjust that just a little bit after we're done making it. So this is a super simple vinaigrette to make at home. It's just Dijon mustard. I use a little bit of whole grain mustard, olive oil, honey, a little bit of apple cider vinegar, and lemon juice, salt and pepper. That's it.
All right.
And yeah, it's fantastic.
Simple
It's
and
a
delicious.
staple at the restaurant for sure. I'm gonna crack just a little bit of pepper into this guy. And then we're gonna toss this up and see how it looks. I love the smell of the almonds.
Yeah.
And the only other thing I'm gonna do here is just add a little element of crunchy, delightful salt on the outside there.
Wonderful.
And that's it.
All right, let's give it a try.
All right.
Get a little of everything.
check it out. See what you think.
All right. The vinaigrette is so tangy, and it really works with the milder flavor of both the asparagus and the Mizuno. That's really terrific. And you're right about those dark almonds. That lends it just a little something extra that's so delicious.
I think if they weren't in there, you'd think there was just like a little element missing, and that just little bit of char just kind of dances with everything else and really works together.
Right. Well, it is just wonderful.
Cool. I'm glad you like it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
So you made a beautiful salad with raw asparagus. Now we're going to bring some heat into the equation. We're going to do some grilled asparagus, right?
Some major heat, yeah. So this is a dish that I would normally do outside on a grill. I prefer charcoal, but gas would work too. So when you bring this bad boy inside, really the only way to get that kind of color on the asparagus while maintaining it being crisp, as we talked about earlier on the interior, is high heat. We're looking for color on the outside, crisp on the inside. None of that kind of chewy and stringy.
All right, so we're working on rocket hot over here.
Yes,
and what are we working on over here?
Just finishing up chopping some parsley here. We got dill going on here.
Nice.
And then asparagus, pecorino cheese, olive oil, lemon juice, Maldon salt. This is simplicity at its best right
All right,
here. So
fantastic.
this is really a
Well,
dish.
I'm sensing a trend here with you and asparagus. It seems like you just really want to make that flavor the star.
I do, yeah. I think it's so delicious. I think it's fantastic all by its own. It's good just munching while you're picking it, as you mentioned earlier. So yeah, I don't want to mess with it too much.
So what do we do? Let's get started.
Okay, let's do this. So again, inch and a half. These spears all come right from the garden. Bowl, asparagus, and we're just gonna hit it with some olive oil. I never skimp on the quality of olive oil. I use it a ton in my cooking, and so always Italian extra virgin. We're gonna go with some sea salt. Asparagus can soak up the salt, so you can be pretty liberal with it. Cracked pepper. We're just gonna kind of toss this. We want it coated in oil, but we don't want it to the point where when we put it on there, it's just gonna be dripping all over the place.
Right.
Or if you're grilling outside, it's gonna flame up, when you throw it on there.
That's a bad idea.
Yep, so coated, but not dripping. Good amount of salt, you can feel it on your hands, and we're just gonna plop this right over here. That's what you wanna hear, is that sizzle. That's gonna tell you got some heat going on. A lot of people's natural inclination is gonna be to constantly move them around. I like charring them hard on one side, rolling them over, and letting it go again, and pulling them off. Let's check these guys out.
All right, they got a little bit of color.
Yep.
You'd get them darker probably on a grill.
On a grill, get it raging hot, let it flame up. Yes, you're gonna get them a little bit darker.
There's some beautiful color there. That's great. And then we'll just let them go another couple of minutes on the other side.
Yep.
All right, you think they're done?
I think they are looking beautiful.
They look fantastic.
We got color on both sides.
All right.
Let's get a plate out here. And we're just gonna nestle those right in there.
And I gotta believe they're delicious as is, but what do you do to dress them up a little bit?
They are, you know what, it's funny, I do snack on these after I cook them sometimes and have a few of them before I do anything. So we're just gonna shave a little pecorino cheese on it, which is an aged sheep's milk cheese. Kind of similar stylistically to Parmesan, a little bit saltier and tangier, in my opinion. So we're gonna kind of just get those laid on there right away so the heat will melt those in as we do the rest of our work here.
You are not shy about cheese.
I'm not. And I don't use, as you said, I'm not shy. I don't use a ton. I don't use it in a lot of dishes, but when I find a dish that it really works in, I'm definitely not shy with it for sure.
All right.
So let's go with some parsley over it. I also love herbs, as I said earlier, and a nice healthy dose of dill here. I mean, this just looks great when it's if you're grilling outside on the picnic table, boom.
Oh, so green, so fresh.
Yeah. Healthy dose of fruity olive oil on there. Give it a little glisten. A little lemon juice for some tang and acidity. And, as with almost everything I do, a little Malden flaky salt.
Wonderful. And you could probably do a lot of different things with this.
Yeah,
There.
one easy option at home is to make either a soft boiled egg or even a poached egg and just plop it on top, smack it with a spoon, crack the yolk open, and let it run all over it.
Yum.
Fantastic
That
as
would be
well.
delicious.
So,
Okay, I'm dying to try this. And
let's
this, you
taste it.
consider this finger food, huh?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You're outside, drinking a beer, on your lawn. Burgers are on the grill. You're starting off with this.
Oh, wow. It is so good. That grilled flavor just really highlights the asparagus flavor, and the lemon juice is so good.
I'm a big lemon juice guy. I use lemon on a lot.
It makes it so
use a lot of
bright.
vinegar. Yeah, pop.
And with the dill, oh my gosh, this is amazing. This tastes like summer.
Totally, 100%. This
Chef
is it.
Joshua, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. This has been amazing. I really, really appreciate it.
I am a plant nerd. I mean, there's just so many different colors and varieties. It's hard not to be obsessed with flowers. Like, I think it stems from my early childhood and then just tending to things and growing plants.
Adam and Jennifer O'Neill are the hardworking owners and talented gardeners of Pepper Harrow Farm, a flower farm nestled in the hills of Madison County, Iowa.
When we moved to the farm, we do what you do when you buy a farm. We grew vegetables and got a couple of goats and get bees and try and do everything under the sun. And Jen grew a garden of flowers that we took to the farmer's market. It really brought a lot of joy to people. And that was a big draw for us. Like we enjoy the joy, I guess, if that's redundant to say.
So usually in the morning we come out and we cut dahlias early in the morning to fill florist orders. The harder we deadhead, the harder we cut these old blooms off, the more the plant is going to want to produce more blooms for us. And it's important that we do this early in the week because then we'll have them for later in the week to be able to take them to farmer's market.
We try and match the colors of the season. So in the spring, we have a lot of pastels and soft colors. The summer, we work to have our bright colors, and I look for candy colors in particular because we like our bouquets to look edible.
This is called Celosia. They also call it coxcomb. This is the stuff we have customers say this used to grow in their grandma's garden. And we like to grow old-timey, old-type flowers that people, when they look at it, it reminds them of memories that they had from growing up. Isn't that gorgeous? Ah, it looks like a lion's mane of hot pink.
Our zinnias, they look a little beat up because we're actually done harvesting them, but we leave them up for the monarchs and the other butterflies that are migrating through.
Adam and Jennifer are very conscious of how much they get from their land, and they're passionate about giving back. That's why parts of their property are set aside for natural or native habitat.
If we have milkweed that happens to pop up someplace randomly as a weed, we leave it.
It makes people want to get outside.
I think we want to promote people to grow their own flowers, to have flowers in their yard, and to do some gardening. We love getting our hands in the dirt, and we love promoting others to do the same thing.
Zinnias and sunflowers are probably the two easiest flowers to get started and grow, especially sunflowers.
The O'Neills love sharing the bounty of their farm and their artistic flair. They welcome visitors to the farm for design classes and a variety of events.
Don't feel like you have to have a massive garden to be able to go cut a beautiful bouquet. You could do something as simple as going out to your tree and cutting off a few small branches to stick in a vase. You know, there's just something very organic and natural about bringing the outside inside that just makes everything look amazing. So that's one of our favorite things to do. I think growing flowers is hard, but when we can have people come in and play with flowers, it really brings us a lot of joy, and we like to share that with people. And I think it's too inspiring too from a nature standpoint. I think it's just amazing to see these little tiny seedlings that you plant in spring, and then, you know, 2 months later they're blooming out, they're huge, they're blooming out, and it's just like, it's amazing.
That's it for this show. Thank you for joining us as we celebrate Iowans and the food they create. I'm Charity Nebbe. See you next time for another episode of Iowa Ingredient. Keep in mind that circumstances are always changing, so please take a moment to check ahead if you're planning to visit a restaurant, farm, or event featured on the show.
Funding for Iowa Ingredient is provided by the W.T. and Edna M. Dahl Trust, Chef Lisa Laval of Trellis Cafe and the River Center, and Chef Michael Laval of the Des Moines Embassy Club. For more than 100 years, the Des Moines Embassy Club has provided a place to dine, celebrate, and do business, located in downtown Des Moines and in West Des Moines. And Friends, the Iowa PBS Foundation. Generations of family and friends who feel passionate about the programs they watch on Iowa PBS.